Thank you, everyone, for joining Vulcanized, a two-day event for graphic developers to meet up and learn from leading Vulcan experts.
Okay, this is Karen Gavam, and welcome back. We are starting up now for our second session, which will be a session from Christophe Riccio. This is very important for people who want to understand more about how the loader and layers interface and the Vulcan configurator, but especially if you're writing layers and you would like the Vulcan configurator to be able to configure them. We have written a white paper on how to do that, and Christophe has created a library utility to assist you. So with that, Christophe, take it over.
Welcome everyone for joining this tutorial. So as Karen was saying, this tutorial is really based on a white paper, and we are just going to write some code, I would say mostly. So I'm joined by Charles and Mark because they are working on the layer, the loader and the layer architecture, so they will be able to answer your questions. I'm working on Vulkan Configurator more specifically, and I'm really looking forward for your input because it's also, this tutorial is also about gathering your feedback. So here is a link for the white paper, and there is my contact. If you are working on layers, I'm very interested to get in touch with you so that it can maybe be improved to work together with Vulkan Configurator and maybe to improve Vulkan Configurator and improve the overall ecosystem. If you have ideas either for the layer or the layer architecture, the loader, Vulkan Configurator, please don't hesitate to use the question area. We will collect your inputs. I'm not sure if we will discuss all of them. It will depend how much ideas you have. But I was hoping it could be a more interactive session, but the way it's set up, it's a little difficult. So we will see how it goes. So, oops, sorry. So the agenda. First, we will discuss about how to use the layer. There is, let's say, the old approach that we will discuss briefly, and then there is using Vulkan Configurator. I don't know how much people, if people has used Vulkan Configurator. I will be very interested to know how familiar you are with the tool, or are you using the environment variables instead. Then we will look at the architecture of all the different components, and then we will start to do some more layer development, I would say. So how to add layer settings, looking at both aspects. First, how to change the layer manifest to expose to the Vulkan developer some layer settings to control the feature of the layer. And second, how to change the code of a layer using the library we provide to read the layer that Vulkan Configurator configure. And finally, maybe a discussion about the improvement you submitted. So we will see. I'm not sure how easy it will be to do this part, but we will see. So first, just to be sure that everyone understands what we are talking about, basically this is a diagram that shows how the Vulkan application calls, the Vulkan API calls goes through the pipeline of different components of the ecosystem. So basically, there is as many Vulkan applications as possible that makes API call that goes to the loader. If some layers are configured using Vulkan configurator or different approach, the calls goes through the layers chain, and then we call the selected Vulkan application. The calls goes to the Vulkan implementation and then to the device. More sophisticated. So with Vulkan configurator, let's say this is a centerpiece of how to control the layer. So the layer is composed basically of two parts. There is a binary, of course, but there is also a manifest. And the manifest contains the layer setting, but we made a schema so that when you create a setting in the validation in the layer manifest, we can validate that the manifest is correct and can be read by Vulkan configurator. If the manifest is not correct, Vulkan configurator is just going to ignore the layer. So the Vulkan application developer won't be able to use the layer. Then Vulkan configurator, based on the list of layers and how they are configured by the Vulkan application developer that use Vulkan configurator, will generate two files. One file that is VK layer override.json, which is read by the Vulkan loader and set up the chain of Vulkan layer. And then there is the VK layer settings.txt file that is generated, which is loaded by the layer binary. So I expect it's a bit difficult to see where all this component goes. But I'm going to show you on my machine, and then we will update a layer, not completely, but we will update a manifest and the source code of a layer to see what we can do. So I'm just going to start from Visual Studio because I have a repository of Vulkan tools. So Vulkan tools repository is on GitHub. You can freely clone it and modify it if you want. What's convenient for me here, it's I can do all the explanation based on this repository because there is Vulkan configurator, but there is also some layers which we will modify, like devsim. And first, we are going to look at what Vulkan configurator look like. So this is a Vulkan configurator. Let me go back to my script. I'm not sure if everyone used Vulkan configurator before, but I hope if you didn't, you will start to consider it. So, for example, during the previous tutorial, we were discussing that it would be nice to use synchronization validation to check if an application has validation error. Synchronization validation error. With Vulkan configurator, it's extremely easy, considering that it's pre-configured with use case that we think are useful. And there is one which is checking for validation synchronization error, and it's this layer configuration. So for example, here we have our application, which is VKCube. And if we launch a VKCube, we see directly, oops, that's not exactly what I was hoping to do. We can see there is no synchronization error directly. So of course, it's a very simple application, and I don't want to spend too much time on that. Vulkan configurator, how it works. We predefined what we call built-in configuration for layers. There is one for API dump. There is, of course, one for validation. Yes, just layer validation. We have one we call frame capture, which is pre-configured to use GFX Reconstruct, which is a tool to capture frame and replay frames. We have one we call portability, and it's pre-configured with two layers, one that is the validation layer and one that is the device simulation layer. This is the layer we're going to modify. So for example, what can we do? So for example, with the validation layer, so we can launch VKCube again. Of course, we can add other application with command line argument. And there is definitely some improvement we want to make with that part of the application. But so far, it's how it works. Here we can see the same argument if we want as well. So we can check. So if we use this preset, so the preset of a layer is it's a concept that expresses that the layer developer think there is some use case for the layer that are important enough that we should pre-configure something so that the user don't have to look at all these settings and figure out how to configure something. So we have one which we call the standard preset, but we have other. So for example, there is one for synchronization validation, and we have one for best practices. So best practices, it's something that was added and I found very interesting because it's not just error, it's also warnings or potential problem of the application, but not necessarily an error. It's correct code. Actually, it's not necessary. It's not an error. It's valid code. But probably there could be some improvements. And what's nice is that two vendors added their best practice. So if we see that there is, if the validation layer sees that there is some, for example, AMD best practice that are not followed, we will see an error. Not an error, a message in the log. So let's try with VKCube and we will see, oh my God, there is plenty of best practice. So it's valid code, but definitely it's not following any best practice. So what we can do, we can look at the log and consider what do I want to know. So for example, this best practice, we are not using a custom allocator. So basically every allocation in VKCube is a real memory allocation. But that's a choice for this application. We want VKCube to be as simple as possible. So we are going to mute this message. And we can do it using different approach. One approach will be, oops. Yes, true. One approach is to copy paste the name of the view ID, or we can use the message ID. and there is a specific setting in the validation layer to mute these messages. So now if we stop VKCube and we relaunch, or I can maybe add other things. Now, if we restart, we will see that this message are gone. So one value for Vulkan Configurator is that we don't need to look at the documentation on the repository or anywhere for the layer. It's self-documented. One part of it is there is some tooltips. Another part of it for basically everything. And another part of it is we can generate a documentation. We don't need to go anywhere. And here you can see there is a documentation that shows all the feature and capabilities for the validation layer. If we look at the frame capture configuration, let's say we want to capture a frame. We want to capture actually a use case. The GFX reconstruct layer developer thought it's useful to capture the two first frame, or another preset is it's useful to capture a range of frame. Let's say we want to capture the first frames. We can do this. We can just select it. The configuration is selected, and then we capture the frame up, and we will see the files. I'm not sure which one it is, but that's one of these. Yes, it is one. So I was saying there is certainly some improvement we should do because here it's very easy to capture a frame, but we could definitely imagine that it would be nice to be able to replay the frame, and it's definitely a feature we miss. And the idea for this would be to create a button with custom command that could be replay my capture, so that we will never have to leave Vulkan Configurator for the use case of saving and capturing a frame and replaying. While currently we need to go we need to go where the frame is captured, and then use a command and replay. So when we know the command, it's fine. But actually, what we could do with the Vulkan Configurator is basically the same with custom commands, that it will be intuitive. You don't have to go. Currently, you have to go on the GFX reconstruct page and figure out how this command. So this command is GFX recon replay is working. But this is still a work in progress. And actually, I'm quite interested if you think, if you are making a layers or something, how important is this feature so that we can prioritize. Speaking of priorities, so I'm very looking forward for some issues. So if you have some issues, don't hesitate to go on the Vulkan Tools repository. But there is also a project a section, and you can basically see our roadmap, and it's all sorted by SDK release, so you can see what's done and what's coming. If there is, yes.
There is a question that came in that I think would be good for you to answer live. Nick was asking.
I can hardly understand what you say.
Can you hear me better?
No, you have a robot voice.
Oh, no. Okay, Mark, you try doing it.
But maybe I can just can the capture replay used for performance analysis. Figure out how much time. We don't have the GFX reconstruct team. Do we actually? Do we have any members that can answer this question? So if you ask if we can use GFX reconstruct for performance analysis, I guess you expect that each reproduct the performance will be always the same. I'm not exactly sure what how much time your engine.
Christoph, you cannot hear me? Did my mic go bad?
It's as if your connection was really bad.
It was Nick's question that I want you to refer to, not the graphics reconstruct.
If I understand the diagram correctly, the Vulkan configurator writes two files. Where is the file in the system? Good question. And I was definitely expecting to show you. Okay, that's a good question. Oh, no. Where is the question now? Okay, so I'm going to answer this question because it's definitely something that I think is useful to know. And there is a standard location. So you can figure out, so it's written in the white paper, I should first say, but it's also, I can show you directly here. So it depends on systems, of course, but for Windows, there is a custom directory which depends on the registry. So if I open the registry, oops. What happened? What did I do with my registry? Yes. So if we open the registry and we go in software, it's either local user or local machine. You will find LunarG. No, it's actually Khronos, Vulkan, explicit layer, and implicit layer. Oh, am I wrong? And it's, oh no, it's actually not in the registry. Well, let me look at the code, that would be easier. So definitely on Windows, it's always going to be in AppData local LunarG vkconfig override. I'm not sure if I will find.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Christoph. Can you hear me better
Yes.
now?
Yes, you're
Okay,
back.
I'm back. Bye.
It definitely has to write something to the registry because that's where the loader is looking for layers. Are you sure
Yes.
the layer is set up currently? Because the files are there,
Oh,
but if you don't have the, it should be active. Well,
yes. So I thought it would be.
it should be in an implicit layer.
Yes. So I'm not. Maybe it's because I'm in local and not in. Yes. Okay. That's because I'm in on not on local, on current user, I think. And I'm not sure if it's. Yes. So
I've written the
that's,
path on Windows to the chat.
yeah. Okay. Oh yes, yes. Yes. So bon, in any case, it depends on what's written in the registry, but we basically always write the same. It's very specific for Windows because on Linux there is other path, and this is mentioned in the white paper, so you can figure out where it is. It could be useful in the event that if you launch Vulkan Configurator and an application in Vulkan Configurator and it's configured, but the application crash or Vulkan Configurator crash or a layer crash, then in theory, the files are removed, but sometimes it depends. So in theory, each time we close Vulkan Configurator, the system is clean. There is no layers running because that could cause issues for other applications. But it's not always fine. Sometimes it could be a problem. And there is another approach. Maybe I should go back to my script. Which is we can use command lines to use Vulkan Configurator. So let me close this. And Vulkan Configurator is in the Vulkan SDK, so in the tools directory, but it's not in the path directory. So so it needs to be used from that place or copy where you need to have it or add it manually to the path. One issue, if it's not in the path, it's because it relies on Qt, and we don't want to pollute the system with potentially other Qt binary being installed unnecessary for other application. So if we use Vulkan Configurator, so if we just use a Vulkan Configurator this way, it will just launch the UI. But what we can do, it's called help. And then we can see there is different commands. And let's use the one that is the most important for us, which is layers. And here it will give us more. Oh, yes. Here it will give us more possible option. So as we can see, there is an argument which is override where we can pass a layer configuration file. So if we start again, vkconfig, a configuration file is basically the data of one of these configurations. So if I take this configuration, I can generate, I can export the configuration. I'm putting it anywhere, let's say here, and then use it with the command line to apply the configuration. So it works differently than typically the UI works, because if you use I lost my did I close it? No, it's here. So if we use oh, I lost my train of thought. Yes, if we use the override command or something. Then the configuration will remain. .json, it's a JSON file. The configuration will remain. It means the registry will be updated so that we can find these two files. And the system will remain with this configuration. So it's kind of polluted, but it's very useful if you want to use vkconfig for CI, so for continuous integration. And we use it for this, for shipping the SDK. For example, maybe you want to have tests in CI that will check that synchronization, validation, that the application don't have a synchronization, validation error systematically. So you could create export the synchronization, validation configuration and use vkconfig in CI, and you will get a log and an error potentially. And another command that is very useful, it's the one that is called surrender. Oh. The one that is called surrender. So S, oops. Which well, here there is no layer setup, but so it says that there is nothing to do. But if, for example, the system is left in a position where launching an application crash, Vulkan configuration crash or something, we can clean up the system with this command. Bon, in practice these days, it's not very often useful, but it could be useful again with CI to continue to execute other tests without any configuration running. Something I didn't mention, and I should, is that with Vulkan Configurator, we can create our own configuration. If you look here, there is many options. We can duplicate a configuration, for example, maybe it's not the most useful configuration, but it's easy to do. I want to do a configuration with the monitor layer. And to do this, duplicate the other configuration. It's exactly the same, but now I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to use this one. And I can order the layer if I want. I think this order is best, so I'm going to keep it this way. And now I have the monitor layer. So if I launch VKCube, now we see we have a very basic counter. This is maybe not the most useful layer, but it exists. So let's try to modify the DevSim layer. So I'm going to consider that so this is really more for layer developer, this part. I'm going to consider that we have the device simulation layer here, but we don't really like too much how these settings are exposed to the user. And so what component do we need to change so that we can refactor these layers? So first, what we can see, so this file, the VK layer settings file, is the file generated actually at the moment with this configuration. If I change with other settings, maybe actually I can change completely this configuration. I'm going to use another configuration, and then we see the file is updated directly. I can actually show you also the other file, which is here. And we see, so the loader will read this file and notice that there is a component layer in this file that is mentioned, and that's how the layer will set up the IP-dump layer to run. So let's go back here. So we don't like too much how these settings are exposed because there is many settings that are actually default values, and maybe as a layer developer, I find it too noisy. I don't really understand why there is all these values. And what I really want instead is to have a group of settings that says, oh, I'm going to modify some device capabilities. So how can we do this? And that will allow us to see the feature of the layer manifest. I don't know if you already opened a layer manifest file. All the files are in the SDK, so anyone can read at them. So first, there is a header, but I'm not going to discuss anything with this. I'm going to focus more on this feature section, where there is two parts. There is one which is a preset. So basically, the layer developer of the device simulation layer thought it would be nice to have what we call a desktop Vulkan 1.1 portability preset. And there is other ones, but I'm not going to look at all of them. So the goal of this preset, for information, is so the purpose of the device simulation layer is to resolve the problem on how to make a Vulkan application portable on devices in the ecosystem, and portable in terms of capabilities. So the idea is what we can do is to define a configuration file and says all the requirements that the application needs to follow, so that we define through this file that all the device we target will have these features. If the application uses more feature than the one listed by the devsim layer, listed by the devsim file, so this file in this scenario, then the validation layer will report an error. If you want more information for this, we made a white paper. It's this white paper, which is available on the Lunargy website. So let's go back to changing our settings. Here is the second part with all the different settings. We see that there is some environment variable, and we see that there is different values. All of them are used by Vulkan configurator in some capacity. Something I didn't mention, but when we set a setting, it's always possible to override with Vulkan configurator. It's always possible to override the settings using the environment variable that we always used. So if the system is already set up with environment variable, it's very possible that Vulkan configurator won't won't change the settings, but Vulkan configurator will show or look this value. So Vulkan configurator is going to read at this environment variable and says, oh, look, this environment variable is set. So whatever value you are going to change in Vulkan configurator is not going to be effectively applied. If we go down, we see all these modified device extension. So now what we can do is create a new setting. I'm going to start from another setting. So, and I'm going to call it modify caps. This setting is only going to be useful to help the application developer using vkconfig to guide the developer, but is not going to be used by the layer itself. So we can create settings that have no functional feature in the binary, but that that allows the application developer to have a more intuitive understanding of the setting list. So if I go back to the UI, for example, if we are using the frame capture, we see here. So I'm trying to describe why it matters to give that sort of a guideline to the application developer. So if we just look at the documentation of GFX Reconstruct, we will see a setting which is memory tracking modes, and there is many memory tracking modes, and we will see also all these Boolean settings. But actually, what we can express in the UI is that these settings won't work unless you use a PageGuard. And we can do this, we can express dependencies between settings. While we could find out the dependencies between settings reading the docs, but it's a lot of time. While with Vulkan configurator, we can figure out just intuitively, just playing with the settings. So if I'm going back, so we are going to try to do the same, but with another setting. So I'm going to call this setting modify device capabilities. I'm going to use the same description by laziness. It's going to be a bool, which means it's only when this setting will be true, or at least it's what I want to do. It's only when this setting will be true that the other settings will effectively be enabled. So the way to do it, I'm going to copy a setting. So when we specify the list of settings, it can be recursive. So I'm going to copy all these settings. And move them inside. So now this is done. So if you look at the repository, you will notice that I'm not modifying the JSON file itself, but I would say a source for the manifest file, because we have some building variable. So I need to recompile the layer up to get the actual file. So here is my modified file, hopefully. Yes. And now what I can do is try to launch Vulkan configurator, but actually, as I was showing in the presentation, there is a manifest file, so we can check that the change I made are correct. And for this, we can simply use this website, which is very convenient for this, which is called JSON Schema Validator. If you just type JSON Schema Validator on Google, we found it immediately. So in my repository, I conveniently have the schema, which specify how the file is supposed to be written. Once again, up and on the there is an error on the previous file. Now I'm going back to the modified JSON file. Let's see if it's correct. And it tells me it's not correct. So if I'm looking here, why it's not correct? What did I do after parsing? Oh, yes, I forgot the comma. Oh, and it's correct. It's almost as if I did it on purpose, but I didn't. So let's change this. Oops, not the right file. Up, I can recompile. No, not this one. But now you will have a question maybe, which is, oh, but how can I actually find the layer we just modified? So it's not the Vulkan configurator is typically finding some layers, but it's not finding any layer anywhere on the system, as we said. So this one is in my repository. So I need to find it in my repository, and we have, oops, not this one, find layers. And actually, yes, good for me. This is not this one. So we have the find layer button, which opens the user-defined path to local Vulkan layer window. So I'm going to remove this path because it's not what I need, but it's pretty nice because it's close to the one I need. And what we should see, if I'm going back here, so which we will see here in the log window, each time we reload the layer, it will show the list of available layers, and we can see that the version is made. I know it's the last SDK. Oh yes, okay. So it's expected. So here it will show the version. But it turns out that the version I have for the layers is the same as the last SDK, so we can't really differentiate both. But if we open the portability configuration, we will see we did created our new settings. If I set these settings, this is maybe not the behavior I was expecting. So we are going to further modify the file. But at least now we see that all the device capability are part of these settings. So now what we can do is create a dependence between all these settings with this one. so that they are enabled only when this setting is set. How much time do I have? Oof, I should probably go faster.
Christoph, you have technically 5 more minutes and then Q&A, but we have been responding to a lot of Q&A in the window for you.
Okay.
So I think you can just probably go up to the end of the hour or the end of the half hour. Or actually go for 5 more minutes and then we'll ask if there's any questions. Okay?
Okay. So I'm going to go back in this file, and what we will try to leverage, it's another feature in specified by the schema, and I'm going to steal it just to avoid some errors. Yes, which is called dependence. And what we can do, I'm just going to modify one settings, and that will be enough for the demonstration. So I have, so there is an element we can add to the specification of a setting, which is dependence, and for that setting we can have multiple settings set to a specific values. So for this case, we will just use one value up, and we will want the value to be true. I can again go back to validate the file. Oh yes, of course, because I use the source, so it can be validated. I need to compile. File. Up, it should be modified. Up. And it's correct. So now I can open vkconfig once again. Oh no, yes. No, I did a rebuild. It's not very long, but that's really not what we want. Well, I guess you understand the principle. So something that I didn't mention is that the code is separate in 2 parts. There is a UI, which is this project, vkconfig, but there is also a core library. And maybe it starts the part where I was hoping to discuss potential improvement. So if it's separated in 2 parts, it's because we could picture it would be useful for vkconfig to be a library included into a third-party tool. I don't know, for example, RenderDoc, I'm not sure, but maybe, so that the tool could control the layers. Other improvement that could be made, it's we have a set of predefined types, but we could, if there is need for more types, and I could picture a type that would be log, for example. And if we would want a type which is a logging system, is because if we look at every layer, they all have a different logging system, which is very inconsistent between layers, and that will maybe allow the ecosystem to converge with one specific approach to do a log with layers. It's relatively easy to create new types. So if any layer developer think, oh yes, I need a new type, you can let me know, but you can also try to open the project, and you will see, for example, here, it's basically the interface for any type. I should have taken something a bit simple. And if you implement this interface, it will be possible to read the setting and then and even write the setting into the VK layer settings .txt files. And if you want to expose the settings in vkconfig, well, there is another file and interface to implement, but it should be always creating a new setting, should be basically changing 4 files because of header and CPP files.
Christophe?
Oh, yes.
If this is a good time to interrupt, I think there is a question that I think is good to be answered live because it's so fundamental to the whole VK config and writing a layer. And the question is, what kind of operation can the layers perform? I'm having trouble understanding what layers can and can't do. I feel like something I want to implement can be a layer. So perhaps you, Mark, and Charles should just elaborate a little bit about the Vulkan layering system and what is a layer good for?
Yes. So what can we do with layers? So basically, the layers intercept. Well, it's not magical, it's implemented. Intercept the API call of Vulkan. So if you want to intercept, do something before it touches the Vulkan application, you can do it. So it could be a lot of things. So for example, API dump is a layer that just capture all the layer, all the calls, and made by the application to the driver and log them. But the validation layer is doing the same. It intercepts all the calls and check the error. Because the driver don't check the error themselves, it's the responsibility of the validation layer and the application developer to ensure the API is used correctly, but the driver is not going to check anything. So it will potentially not execute the command if they are not correct and not report anything. So another layer we have, it's a layer that capture frame that takes a screenshot of a frame, but it could be a screenshot of the application. There is a lot of overlays. So we don't have, I forgot the name of the layer, but I can find it very easily. Because there is
monitor.
There is monitor, but there is in the community a layer which is very interesting, but it's not supported on Windows. So if you want to find more layers, there is a section here.
Okay, so Christophe, we're at the 30 mark. So if there's a closing that you want to do for your presentation, we should probably do so. And I will just add, we've had a lot of questions in the Q&A window that, you know, VK config is the glue for a bunch of the tools in the ecosystem. So we're getting questions about graphics reconstruct and DevSim and validation layers and la-di-da. And if any of them weren't fully answered, we will make sure they're answered. These questions and answers will be sent out to the participants. So Christophe, if you would like to close.
Yes. Maybe I'm going back here. So we have many future work ideas. We are looking forward for your ideas. Really the purpose of Vulkan configurator or even the layers and it's to improve the efficiency every day when we are working on Vulkan application, so that we don't spend too much time on just learning how to use the tool we need to use to debug. So if there is some pain point on it takes me too much time to do something, just let us know. And we will try to continue improving the Vulkan application developer workflow this way. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Christophe. And that concludes the Vulcanized session for today. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for more Vulkan updates and demonstrations.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you to all our presenters, Liturgy, and our audience for joining us today of day one of Vulcanized 2021. Vulcanized will resume tomorrow at 1600 Central European Time, 7 a.m. US Pacific Time Zone. Have a great day.